In this part of the notes, we are going to be writing equations. Particularly, we're going to be writing equations into standard form, and that might be new for you when you're writing equations to actually make it be in standard form. So let's look at what's important about standard form here. We are going to use this point slope formula to fill in when we are going to be writing the equation. This is where we're going to start. But then we're going to transform that into a standard form equation, and the standard form looks like this: ax plus by equals c. But there are some important things about that, and that's that you cannot have any fractions or decimal coefficients in that equation. You also want the x, the coefficient of the x, to be positive, and you want them to be specifically in this order of having the x first, and then the y term, and then equals, and then the constant term on the right. So the formula that we're going to use for slope is here at the bottom, and we use that already on the previous page. You're going to have to memorize that formula there. And we're going to start by this first one here. It says to write a standard form equation for each line described below. Example 1, line with slope of 3 containing the point 5,2. So again, I'm going to start with the point slope formula, which is y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. In this formula, we're going to be replacing y1 with the y1 from the graph, which is 2. We're going to replace the x1 with the x from the equation, and we're going to replace the slope with the slope of 3. And then we're going to convert it into standard form. So we're going to say y minus the y, which was 2, the slope is 3, x minus the x, which was 5. We're going to simplify this, kind of like solving for y, and then we're going to transform it. Y minus 2, distributing the 3, 3x minus 15. I'm going to add the 2 to get the y alone. And I would like it to look like that if I were wanting to graph it. But I'm wanting to do standard form. Remember, standard form has the x term first, and then the y, and then the constant is alone on the right. So I'm going to subtract 3x to move it to the left. But remember, we don't want to leave the x term negative. So we're going to multiply everything by -1 to change all the signs, which will leave us with a positive x term, which is what we want. We have all whole number coefficients, no decimals or fractions in the equation. This is the standard form for this particular equation. The next one gave me 2 points here, so I'm going to have to first do the slope formula to figure out the slope that I need, and then I get to choose either one of the points to use to plug into the point slope formula. y2 is -4, minus y1 is -7. x2 is -2, minus x1 is -6. Minus and minus, we're going to be adding here. -4 and 7 will give me +3. Minus and minus, adding on the bottom here, -2 and 6 will give me a +4. This has a slope of 3/4. And I get to choose the point that I want to use for the writing of the equation. I'm going to go with the second point here just because it has smaller numbers, and all of these values are negative, so sometimes I'll avoid the negatives to make it simple, but I couldn't in this particular problem. So again, I'm plugging into y minus y1, x minus x1, point slope formula there, and I'm going to convert to standard form. So it's going to be y minus the y from this point, which is -4. The slope is 3/4. And then x minus the x from the point, which is -2. Minus and minus is adding. I'm going to make all of these just make them adding. And then I'm going to do something here, and you could distribute this 3/4. That would be the next step if I didn't do what I was going to do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything in this equation by 4. And what that will do is it will get rid of this denominator. I'm using 4 because the fraction in my equation has a denominator of 4. Know that on this side, this 3/4 is multiplying by this whole parentheses set here. So when I multiply the right side by 4, the only change that's going to happen is that instead of 3/4, we're going to have 3 times x plus 2. If that is going to confuse you, then go ahead and distribute the 3/4 and work it that way. But what I'm going to do is going to make me have no more fractions. So I need to multiply the 4 on the left here, which would be 4y plus 16. But remember that on the right side, these are being multiplied, so I only need to multiply one of the pieces here by the 4, and that's the slope. So now I'll go on to what would be the normal next step, which is to distribute the 3x plus 6 there. 4y plus 16 on the left. I'm going to subtract the 16. 4y, 3x minus 10. If I was solving for y, I would divide by 4 right now, but I'm not doing that. I'm going to write it into standard form, which means I need to move the x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 3x to move it to the other side. Negative 3x plus 4y equals negative 10. Again, we have a situation where the x is negative and we want it to be positive, so we're going to multiply everything by negative 1 to give me 3x minus 4y equals positive 10. Writing our standard form for that one.